Hi there, today we're talking about working with fraction word problems, and I'm on page 19 in your binder. So when we are solving word problems with fractions, it's the same steps that we used when we were solving word problems with decimals in our last unit. So we need to make sure that we read the whole problem. We need to identify the operations that are needed in order to solve the problem and in what order, because remember some of these can be multi-step. We need to look for the numbers that are in the problem, set up the problem, and then solve. And then you're going to be able to select your answer because most of the time you're going to have multiple choice for your answer choices whenever you take your test. Actually, in all cases, you're going to have multiple choice. So if we read the first question, Martha read 1/6 of her library book on Saturday and 5/12 of her book on Sunday. How much more of her book does Martha have left to read? Now, we read the whole problem. Let's look at the operation words. So, she read this much on Saturday. She read 5/12 on Sunday. It's asking how much more does she need to read? And if I look at the fractions, here's my first fraction and here's my second fraction. When it's asking me how much more, I'm doing subtraction. So when I look at these, I need to figure out which fraction am I going to put first. So in this case, I'm going to put 5/12 first because 5/12 is the larger fraction. If you put 1/6 first, it's not going to give you that much of an issue. It's just going to give you a negative number at the end, but we don't need to work with the negative number, so you can think of it as the positive in this case. But I'm going to start with the 5/12 minus 1/6. So I'm going to take what she read on Sunday minus what she read on Saturday. Now remember, when I subtract, I put those parentheses around it, and I can use my calculator. If I'm careful and I put this in my calculator and I type it twice, I get 0.25. Now I can come down here to my answer choices, and I can type all my answer choices into my calculator. Remember, you can use your FDP chart. And remember, fraction to decimal, I do numerator divided by denominator, or just divide the numerator by the denominator. So I'm going to do 1 divided by 4, which gives me 0.25. Ooh, there's a match. But let's go through and double check. 2/3 is 0.6 repeating. 5/12 is 0.416 repeating. And 7/12 is 0.583 repeating. So our only match is the 1/4 in this case. Now, if we look at number 2, the corner store had a candy sale on Saturday. They sold 1/2 pound of sour cherries, 1 2/3 pounds of fruity treats, and 1 5/6 pounds of jelly beans. How many pounds of candy were sold? Now it's asking how many pounds were sold, and if we think about that, it's asking us about the total sold. And anytime we're finding total, we are going to add. But in this case, we have 1/2, we have 1 2/3, and we have 1 5/6. So I have 3 numbers. So I'm going to add carefully those 3 numbers. So I have 1/2 plus 1 2/3 plus 1 5/6. Now, anytime I'm adding or multiplying or dividing or subtracting, if I have these mixed numbers, I need to do the magic C and turn them improper. So 1/2 plus 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 more gives me 5 over 3 plus 6 times 1 is 6 plus 5 more gives me 11 over 6. Add in my parentheses. And if I'm very careful and I type it twice, I actually end up with a whole number of 4. Now, the only one that has a whole number 4 down here is 4. If you really wanted to, you could go through and you could change them all, but I think you can figure out that the correct answer would be 4. So your job is to go through and to work on the word problems. in the next few pages. And if you finish those, you are welcome to check them with the key on the website.